Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to Athlete of the Week. Today we have Luchie Porter. Actually, I always forget to introduce myself. My name's Thomas Webb. I'm the host, and today we have Luchie Porter on the show, a man who has run a very quick 100 meters, which is sorry, I should be more prepared. I'm not gonna do this again because we embrace mistakes on this show. 10.69 is his 100-meter personal record, and he ran a 22:09 second 200-meter. So that was probably the height of your sporting career so far, Luther. But very welcome
Yeah,
to the show.
thank you.
So yeah, let's talk about the time you ran those times. So that was when you were like 19, 18, is that right?
Yeah, so I was probably around 18, 19 years old in high school. So during track, I started off pretty slow. Probably my around I would say sophomore year of high school, I started really training hard almost every day, including the off season, which basically I was training all year round just for I played football too, but for track usually. And it was kind of weird because when training for football, I was actually lighter during football season, which is fall here in the United States, than I was during track season. Usually during track season, I gained about, I would say, maybe 5 to 10 more pounds of muscle, but I was faster during track season, so which is kind of weird. But football, you're always wearing pads and gear and everything else, so you lose a lot of weight, and it's during the summertime, early fall, so you're doing a lot of sweating, a lot of running around. But my times, I peaked during my senior year. I ran the 10.69, which is probably mid season, which I should have peaked at the end of season, which was kind of a mistake.
Hmm.
But I probably peaked during mid season, which is when I ran the 10.69 and the 22:09 200 meters, which was pretty fast for the time. I mean, usually everybody was running around 12s, and then you had every now and then somebody run maybe a mid 11, 11.5.
Hmm.
But there's a couple other guys that were in schools close to me, and they were probably running around. The guy closest to me ran 10, around 10.9, 10.8. So we were probably like the fastest in that part of the state. So
Fair. And that wasn't just so you weren't just the fastest in your school, you're the fastest in your whole like county or
So it was divided up by sections of the state. So
right.
during that time, I was the fastest in the southern part of the state. But since, like I said, I peaked early.
Mm-hmm.
Once I got to state, I don't know, I kind of choked out, so I couldn't
Yeah.
run fast. I don't know, my body was so peaked out because
Hmm.
I didn't follow the proper plan to peak at the right time of the season. So
Hmm.
I probably peaked 75% of the way through the season. And then I would say I kind of felt like a cheetah, after it gets done running, after it chases
Yeah.
a meal, it has to rest for like weeks on time before it can get back at it.
Yeah.
Because that's how I felt like my body was just I think if you push it to a certain limit,
Hmm. Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to you have to
You're
properly
burnout.
rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the problem because I mean my coach warned me about you need to try to peak at the right time of the season, but I think it's kind of hard to find a
Hmm.
rhythm for your body to how you can peak at the right time. I was always
Hmm.
confused about that, but
Yeah. So you ran your 10.69 in like a random track event or uh
yeah, it was probably just it was like a random event through mid-season. It
yeah.
wasn't any conference, any sectionals, or any championships. It was just like a random meet,
Hmm.
and then after that, I mean, I ran probably around after that around 10.9 for the rest, probably around 10-9, low 11, like a 10-9,
Mm-hmm.
11,
Mm-hmm.
11-0 something for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like the fastest it was I was at the time. So
Mm. Yeah, fair. And what talk us through about how what it took to get to that sort of level, that sort of conditioning, 10-6-9, like what were you doing to get
um
yourself in that sort of shape?
so starting in high school, freshman year,
Mm.
I was probably one of the fastest already, in my grade at least, me and another guy. At that time I was probably running around a 12,
Mm.
like maybe 12, 12 oh something, 12. Everybody else was running like maybe 15, 16s. So at that time, running with the older guys, just the older guys, the sophomores, the juniors, the seniors, we used to work out with them, do workouts with them, which encompassed like some sprinting, back and forth across the field, long distance stuff. And then I'm a firm believer in training with other people. I don't like training alone, especially in track events or running events, because with the other runner, they're going to motivate you to run faster, and it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like a competition. Like if I'm sprinting on my own, I'm obviously not going to do as good if there's like three other people beside me, or if we're in a line, or if there's somebody pushing you to run harder. Just naturally, the human body, we like to be lazy in terms
Mm-hmm.
of like, okay, I can't go anymore, I can't go anymore. But in reality, you can always give more. So training with them, I'll say the freshman year, I started training with them, running pretty hard. And then I would say sophomore year is really when I started to pick it up. During the off season, I was probably in the weight room every single day, after
Mm-hmm.
class, after school, in the weight room, especially during the off season. So after football ended, um, I usually basketball for I played basketball until my sophomore year. Then during probably the off season, after basketball season, track, there's a little short time after that. That's when I really started training hard in the weight room. I was more in the weight room than I was actually running, which during the winter time, which helped a lot. Another sprinter gave me tips to like work biceps, work triceps, because they actually help with running. Did a lot of ab work, but probably in the weight room every day after school, so 5 days a week, and then 2 days off on the weekends. And then squats, lunges, weighted lunges, bench press, things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
then I gained some pretty good muscle at that time. And then during when track season started, I was significantly faster. It started off, I didn't realize my speed until we did like a team relay. It was 400-meter relay. So I ran pretty fast. I surprised myself after that. And then after that, the coach started putting me on varsity to run the 100 meters. So, and at that time, I was probably around 11.5 at that time, during
Stone.
sophomore year. What was
Oh,
that?
right. You were running 11.5, yeah, for 100 meters.
Yeah, probably around like probably
Mm.
like 11.5 around that time. And then my junior year, I did the same. So I didn't play basketball going into junior year. So after football season, I just trained all the way from the end of football season, which was November, all the way until around March, April.
Mm.
And so that's when I really gained a bunch of speed, junior year.
Mm.
So at that time, I was probably around 11, low 11,
Mm.
11.3, 11.5. And then just continued in the senior year. I did the same thing. And then that's when I got significantly faster. Then I helped run with the younger guys and the relays and things like that, which was probably my favorite. I don't know. I really like the relays.
Mm.
It's
Yeah,
probably one of the best things.
so it sounds like you're describing like a few years of consistency in terms
Yeah,
of
definitely.
speed work and also just running with better people and that competitiveness. Um,
Yeah, I think the competitiveness helps
yeah.
the most because it gives you just the extra push to do stuff like running up hills, doing things, going faster, pushing your body to its limits. It's like,
Yeah.
some days it really sucks to try to get out there and run, get out there and work. But if there's somebody pushing you to do it, it's much easier.
Yeah. And you're describing it's not just about like speed work on the track or running up hills, but it's just as much in the gym, like putting on muscle and like
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Definitely in the gym a lot, and then of course running. A lot of hill work. I think hills help a lot, and then trying to push your body to its limits. Like a lot of the days, you want to try to run so hard that your whole body hurts. I know everybody's been to that point where they
Mm,
run so fast, just the next day they wake up and every
hmm
single thing in their body's hurting because running uses like almost every single muscle. So that's why the weight room can help a lot.
hmm
Like bicep curls, calf raises, uh, squats. Like I said, lunges. I think lunges. That was like one of the number one workouts I did. Lunges, and
hmm
then a lot of leg curls.
hmm
But in terms of one thing I wish I could have done better was usually I needed more explosiveness.
Yeah.
So that was like one of my faults coming out of the blocks
hmm
was usually kind of my problem. I needed to explode more and get set up more because usually in my races I would come off slow and I'd usually have to play catch up because there's some people that were perfect out of the blocks.
hmm
Like it just looked magical when they came out the blocks. But usually about 50 meters in, that's when I would usually get my speed and then just pass everybody up. But I think I could have dropped my time probably more if I could
hmm
have came out of the blocks properly.
hmm
So
Yeah.
that was one thing I could have done better.
Yeah. So you're training hard, you're training consistent, you're in the
Yeah.
gym building muscle. Um, you were looking after all these areas, trying to get your time down. Was there any other elements or factors that you focused on or tried to use to get your time down further other than the things we've just mentioned? Um,
Um, the diet.
diet.
That's the big thing. I mean, my diet wasn't the best, but usually I tried to eat. Um, Usually I eat like steak, things like that. Nothing. Try to cut down on the
Yeah.
junk food, but I mean it was inevitable. But at that time, I was living at home, so I could
Mm,
easily, I can cook steak and different things like that pretty easily. Go pick it up. A lot of noodles, steak noodles, things like that. Before the track meet, I
mm,
usually like to eat the night before, like pasta.
mm.
So
Yeah.
one thing I did, got a lot of cramps, so
Mm,
I had to make sure I ate some, get a lot of potassium in my system. Because after you run, sometimes you just feel so spent. Like I said, your body just needs a break. So usually after a big meet or something, take a break for at least like probably a day to recover. Maybe do some walking and light jogging.
mm.
Then the second day after pick it up a little bit, and the third day try to get back at it. But there's a
Yeah.
time your body needs to recover, which I think that's a mistake I made when I was peaking. Is I don't think I gave my body proper rest,
Yeah.
and then that was a mistake I made.
And to maximize your recovery, then I assume you were just eating as much as you could, like for to recover as fast as you could. Or
Yeah,
were you? Yeah.
I think sleep as well played a big deal. So
Mm,
you
mm,
didn't try to usually the night before I try to get 8 hours, and
mm.
then the day after try to get 8 hours so your body can recover properly. Eat right,
Yeah.
and then
Were
that
you?
correlates to everything.
Did you find you said like when you were running these fast times you were putting on muscle and things? Did you find that there was a like a perfect weight, like the heavier you got, were you faster when you were bulked up, or were you fastest when you were like lighter?
Usually, so I would say I was probably around 180, 180-ish at the time of um, during track season, and then during football season, I might be around 165, 170-ish.
Mm,
So but that was just because, like I said, you do more like running around during football season and sweating a lot out. You're sweating a lot out. So
Mm,
I
yeah,
felt I was a lot faster during when I was bulked up. So
fair. Um, One thing I wanted to ask you about, you said all of these things you're trying to maximize for recovery and uh, to try and get you faster and faster. You mentioned though that it's a bit of a taboo subject, but I think we can talk about it here. Use of anabolic steroids.
yes,
Yes, can we talk about that?
yeah,
Yeah, so you dabbled in that to try and get faster. Is that right?
yes.
Yeah. Was that in just in your last or your sophomore year when you're running these fast times or
Um, so what times is around? Maybe around junior year.
yeah. So how old were you then
So,
in junior year?
huh? What was that?
How old were you in junior year?
That was probably around 17,
Yeah.
17 years old. But there was it was like a testosterone boosting like supplements. So
Yeah.
um to boost your testosterone up to try to build more muscle. So during that time, I would say I put on some muscle, but I mean, I don't know if it honestly worked or not,
Yeah.
but it was just they boosted your testosterone up. So
Yeah.
to try to bulk up more.
Yeah. And how did you get into that? How did you get introduced to that? Was it like a very common rife thing amongst athletes in college at that time
Um,
or
a lot of people, I'm not sure about now, they
mm,
try to use things to boost their testosterone up, or um, some people even try to use caffeine. I know caffeine pills to like during races to try to make their heart rate faster
hmm.
or things like that. But um, I feel like maybe it could be just in your head. I don't know, taking
Yeah.
those kind of supplements, but usually you can find online or something testosterone boosters
Mm,
or
hmm.
things, people try to get a competitive edge, but in
Mm,
the end, I think it's in people's heads
mm.
unless you're like taking, I don't know, hardcore like things. So, yeah.
Yeah. So you were just taking pills rather than like injecting it in your muscles or anything like
Yeah,
that?
it was just stuff you can buy off Amazon.
Yeah. So
It was
you,
not like, yeah, it wasn't
yeah,
injections or anything like
yeah,
the athletes use, was it like Tyson
bodybuilders.
Gay or something
Oh
that
yeah,
used,
yeah.
yeah.
And did you find like a big jump up in performance when you started taking them, or like a big jump in muscle mass, or did you sort of
Um,
were the results quite underwhelming, or
I feel like I did gain muscle, but
mm,
I feel like it maybe wasn't different from the year prior.
yeah,
Maybe just because I was working harder, because maybe in your head you're like, oh well, I'm supposed to be doing this. So I think placebo effect has a big effect on things,
yeah,
just
and
mental.
yeah, and you were on these for about a year, were you, or
It was probably like 2 months.
2 months?
Um, 2 months, yeah, probably
Yeah,
2 to 3 months, maybe.
yeah.
I can't exactly remember.
And in this time, did you get your PBs, your 10.69, 100 meters?
This was during junior year, so it was probably like still around 11 minutes. I'm not 11 minutes, 11 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. So fair enough. So that's interesting that actually you used them for 2 months and then you came off them cold turkey, was it?
Yeah, correct.
And you still actually ran your fastest time was actually when you were off them, a few
Yes,
months
correct.
after you were off them. Yeah,
That's why I said I don't know if I really believe the testosterone boosting thing. So
yeah,
um they call them steroids or anabolic, but unless I guess you're injecting something, it's probably not
mm,
real or
yeah,
just placebo effect. But I think caffeine actually, I don't know, some people took that. I
yeah.
never took that before a race, but I know it increases your heart rate, so it could be dangerous.
Mm,
but they felt like they could have more explosiveness
mm.
and things like that. They took caffeine before a race.
Yeah, probably better reaction time at least anyway. Um,
Yeah.
and you mentioned to me before when you came off the testosterone pills that there were like some withdrawal effects and you felt awful coming off them.
Um, yeah. So I kind of was like tired a little bit,
Mm,
like real tired
yeah.
during that time. Like I felt like maybe kind of like caffeine withdrawal symptoms, maybe like
Mm,
that. So your body's so used to like
mm,
having some kind of supplement in your body, and it relies your body relies on that supplement to get energy or to
mm,
give you energy, and then once you get off of it, it just kind of headaches, things like that, irritability, just
mm.
don't feel good.
Yeah, so your body almost sounds like developed tolerance to it. And then
Yeah, correct.
yeah. Um what motivated you to come off it? Did you just think you didn't need it anymore or you didn't want to rely on it? Or you just didn't
Yeah, it
think it
was
was
like
working?
yeah, so me and another guy, we just was messing around and then took the supplements. So
Mm,
we both just came off of it and see if there was any improvement on any of our speed or
yeah.
anything like that.
Mm. I,
But
yeah. I suppose at that point you're probably on a fork in the road. Like, do you go like stronger sort of stuff? Do you like turn to like injecting, or do you just completely go off it? Yeah, and you decided to just go off it.
yeah, just stop taking any supplements
Mm.
whatsoever. Just
Yeah,
try to do it just normal. I
yeah,
mean, because unless unless you have access to like crazy stuff, yeah, there is no
I
point
know
in even
that.
trying. But I know
Mm.
at that point, I mean, you're in high school or whatever, so you don't
Mm.
have access to anything like that. So
Mm. Yeah. Um. So coming going forward, then, so you the was it so your sophomore year was the year you peaked, is that right? Or your senior year?
no, senior year.
Senior year, fair. And then you peaked mid-season and you sort of ran 11s in the actual important meetings at the end of the season. So after that season, did you continue with running or did you sort of just stop running for a bit and focus on
After
other
senior
things?
year,
Yeah.
after senior year, yeah, I just kind of quit running after that. I thought about going to some colleges, but I just kind of wasn't motivated to do it anymore after I
Mm.
graduated. So other things were on my mind, just going to school and things like that. I
Yeah.
did get some offers for some different colleges, but
Mm.
I ended up just going to school, and then that was it.
Yeah. And have you had like what has been your sporting pursuit since then? Is it just going to the gym, just keeping yourself fit? Or do you have any?
Yeah. Now I try to run for distance rather than speed, but
Okay.
I think the problem is that I was so used to sprinting. So when I ran, it's hard to get a good pace
Mm,
because I always just want to take off rather than trying to pace myself.
mm,
And then the breathing's a lot differently than when
mm,
you're sprinting as well.
yeah.
So the most I got up to running recently is probably around 6 miles, which that's a big feat for me because usually I never
Yeah.
ran more than like a mile at the most.
Mm,
Usually I only ran around 800 meters.
mm.
I never did any kind of distance running. So
Yeah.
that took me, the 6 miles probably took me that took me a couple months to build up.
Mm.
That was pretty difficult for me to do.
What motivated you to get into distance running? Um,
Um, I just kind of wanted to challenge myself a little bit and try to do something I didn't think I could do. So I know I said I never ran more than a couple miles. I think before that, the most I ever ran was 3 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And then so one day, I just made a point on the map and I tried to run to that and back. Have a good pace,
Mm-hmm.
breathe properly. I took no breaks and then just knocked the 6 miles out. And then ever since then, that's probably been my longest distance I ever ran was 6 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So I know some people, they do these marathons and different things like that or half marathons.
Mm-hmm.
So in the future, I'm gonna probably try to do one of those.
Yeah, class. Do you
Yeah.
have any time time in sight that you can do like a half marathon or a marathon?
They have them all the time.
Mm.
Usually, you can find some on the map, but since it's getting colder here, there probably won't be as many.
Mm.
But they have like 3Ks, 5Ks, half marathons, and even the full marathon. So I might work my way up. Start off with like a 3 or 5K run.
Yeah,
See where I'm at from there.
yeah.
And
Build
then
it up.
the
Yeah.
problem with well, they always have professional athletes at those that show everybody up. So they have like you can see world renowned runners at some of the different marathons or
Mm-hmm.
things like that. But I think that's a good starting point for everybody because usually it's all kinds of skill levels at those types of events.
Mm. Yeah. Um, Before I ask you about your message to people, because we always like to to leave people who are watching this with like an inspiring message. But I wanted to. So we met in Camp America, and we used to go to the gym every day,
Yeah.
basically in the camp, get away from all those spoiled kids, essentially. But one thing I'll always remember you for is your ability to get pumped up in the gym and that sort of like pre-gym ritual that you had.
Yeah.
Is there is there any chance to give the people a bit of that sound that you that we both did together?
It's been a while since I got that pumped up.
I
I
missed that.
try to remember it actually.
Come
But
on,
yeah,
you have to. I'll do what I can remember, and maybe that will inspire you of how you did it. Is that fair?
yeah, that's fair.
Right, okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm starting to remember now. I'm starting to remember
All right,
now.
let's do it.
It's been a long time
Get
since
into
I
it.
got that pumped up in the gym.
Get into it.
You trying it again?
You go for it.
All right. All right.
I didn't even hear the sound there. Oh, your earphone came off. That's why. Your
What was that?
the sound is
Yeah,
your earphone. So we missed the complete sound effects.
you missed a complete sound effect.
Yeah, yeah. Try one more time. Try one more time with the.
All right, let me take my headphone out.
Okay, okay. All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. All right, that's perfect.
All right.
Okay, that's perfect. That's great. That's what the people wanted. Nah, you're all right. There's only about 5 or 6 people who watch these things anyway, so you're not gonna be it's not you're not gonna be going viral, unfortunately.
I might.
I hope. No, but brilliant. Thanks so much for coming on the show. But it seems like your message to people. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're you've described, I guess you've described a mixture of consistency, hard work,
Yeah.
but intensity as well and competitiveness. Yeah, what would your final message be to people maybe wanting to get into a competitive sport such as sprinting or maybe looking towards longer distance running, like what you're getting into now?
I would say stay motivated. Try to get out of your comfort zone. I think is the biggest thing. Like, uh, try to do things you would normally do. But I think finding a consistent partner to run with,
Mm.
especially if you have a goal, is the best because I feel like you could have running goals, but unless you're like you have the mindset like David Goggins, it's going to be pretty hard to try to get to those goals. So I think having somebody consistently there to always, slap you or punch you in the back to get you to run or to meet your goals is the biggest thing.
Yeah, perfect. All right, you heard it. Thanks, Luther. His message is stay hard, basically, like David Goggins would say.
Get her done.
Get her done. Yeah, perfect. All right, thanks very much for coming on the show.
Thank
And
you.
thanks for listening, whoever is listening, to Athlete of the Week. See you next time. Goodbye.